Welcome to Wisdom Trek with Gramps. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, and we are on day 2760 of our trek. The purpose of Wisdom Trek is to create a legacy of wisdom, to seek out discernment and insights, and to boldly grow where few have chosen to grow before. The title for today's Wisdom Trek is The Geometry of Grace, as high as the heavens, as far as the east. Today, we continue our ascent up the magnificent peak of Psalm 103. We are exploring the heart of the psalm, verses 7 through 18 in the New Living Translation. In our previous trek, we heard King David preaching a sermon to his own soul. He commanded himself to bless the Lord and not to forget his benefits. We listed those benefits. He forgives all sins, heals all diseases, redeems us from the pit, and crowns us with love and tender mercies. It was a celebration of what God does. But today, David goes deeper. He moves from God's acts to God's nature. He asks the question, why does God do these things? What is it about his character that makes him forgive a sinner like me? In this section, David gives us the definitive theology of the heart of God. He takes us back to the mountain of Sinai to hear God's own description of himself. He uses the vastness of the cosmos to measure God's love. And then, he looks at us frail, dusty, fleeting humanity and explains why God's response to our weakness is not judgment, but fatherly compassion. So, let us stand in awe as we measure the dimensions of grace. The first segment is the Magna Carta of Mercy, God's self-revelation. Psalm 103, verses 7 through 8. He revealed his character to Moses and his deeds to the people of Israel. The Lord is compassionate and merciful, slow to get angry, and filled with unfailing love. David begins by grounding his praise in history. He isn't guessing what God is like, he is remembering what God said. He revealed his character to Moses and his deeds to the people of Israel. Specifically, David is quoting Exodus 34, verse 6. This moment occurred right after the golden calf incident, Israel's great act of spiritual adultery. Moses asked to see God's glory, and God passed by and proclaimed his name. This declaration in verse 8, the Lord is compassionate and merciful, slow to get angry and filled with unfailing love, is the most quoted verse in the entire Old Testament. It is the Jewish creed of grace. Let's break down these four pillars of God's heart, related to the word for womb. It describes a mother's visceral feeling for her helpless infant. 2. Merciful, meaning gracious, generous, giving favor that is undeserved. 3. Slow to get angry. Erikapayim, literally, long of nose. In Hebrew idiom, anger was associated with a hot nose or snorting. To be long of nose means it takes a long time for God's nose to get hot. He has a very long fuse. 4. Filled with unfailing love. He is abundant in covenant loyalty. He overflows with commitment. This is who Yahweh is. In the ancient Israelite worldview, the gods of the nations were often depicted as capricious, easily offended, and needing to be appeased. But the God of Israel reveals himself as a God who is naturally inclined toward mercy, not wrath. This is the second segment, is the divine restraint, not treating us as we deserve. Psalm 103, verses 9 through 10. He will not constantly accuse us, nor remain angry forever. He does not punish us for all our sins. He does not deal harshly with us, as we deserve. Because God is slow to anger, his interactions with us are marked by restraint. He will not constantly accuse us, nor remain angry forever. The imagery here is legal. The word accuse, reb, means to bring a lawsuit or to contend in court. God is the judge, and he has every right to bring a case against us constantly because we sin constantly. But David says God does not press his case to the bitter end. He is not a prosecutor looking for a conviction. He is a father looking for restoration. He does not punish us for all our sins. He does not deal harshly with us as we deserve. This is the most comforting, yet humbling verse. If God were fair in the strict retributive sense, we would be consumed. We deserve Gamal judgment. We deserve to be cast out. But God breaks the law of karma. He introduces grace, receiving what we don't deserve, and mercy, not receiving what we do deserve. Notice the tension. David doesn't say we don't have sins. He admits we deserve harsh dealing. The gospel is not that we are innocent. It is that God chooses not to settle the score. The third segment is the geometry of grace, vertical and horizontal. Psalm 103, verses 11 through 12. For his unfailing love toward those who fear him is as great as the height of the heavens above the earth. He has removed our sins as far from us as the east is from the west. David now calls upon the cosmos itself to help us measure this mercy. He uses two dimensions, height, vertical, and width, horizontal. First, the vertical. For his unfailing love toward those who fear him is as great as the height of the heavens above the earth. Look up at the night sky. In the ancient mind, the heavens were the highest conceivable thing, the dwelling place of the divine council, the realm of the stars. It represents infinity. David says, try to measure the distance from the dirt you stand on to the highest star. That is the magnitude of God's hesed for you. It is a love that transcends our smallness. It is overwhelming, massive, and insurmountable. Second, the horizontal. He has removed our sins as far from us as the east is from the west. This deals with our guilt. When God forgives, he engages in spatial separation. He takes the sin, the twistedness, and flings it away. Why east and west? If David had said north and south, there would be a limit. If you travel north long enough, you eventually hit the North Pole and start going south. But if you travel west, you never start going east. You just keep going west. East and west never meet. They are infinitely separated directions. By using this imagery, David is saying that God puts an infinite distance between the sinner and his sin. He does not keep it in his back pocket to use against us later. It is gone. The fourth segment is the anthropology of dust, why God is gentle. Psalm 103, verses 13 through 16. The Lord is like a father to his children, tender and compassionate to those who fear him. For he knows how weak we are. He remembers we are only dust. Our days on earth are like grass, like wildflowers. We bloom and die. The wind blows, and we are gone as though we had never been there. Why does God show such infinite mercy? Is it because we are so valuable? No, it is because we are so fragile. David shifts the metaphor from a judge in a courtroom to a father in a nursery. The Lord is like a father to his children, tender and compassionate to those who fear him. This is the heart of God. A father doesn't crush his toddler for stumbling. He picks him up. Why? Because he knows the child is weak. For he knows how weak we are. He remembers we are only dust. The word weak refers to our frame or our formation yetzer. It harkens back to Genesis 2, verse 7, where God formed man from the dust of the ground. God remembers his creative work. He knows he didn't make us out of steel or granite. He made us out of mud and breath. In the Divine Council worldview, there is a clear distinction between the Elohim spiritual beings and humans. We are earthbound. We are fragile. God does not expect us to have the strength of angels. He calibrates his expectations to our constitution. When we fail, he isn't shocked. He says, I know, you are dust. Let me help you. David then paints a poignant picture of this frailty. Our days on earth are like grass. Like wildflowers, we bloom and die. We think we are mighty oaks, but God sees us as wildflowers. A flower is beautiful, yes, but it is terribly temporary. The wind blows, and we are gone, as though we had never been there. The word for wind is ruach, which can mean wind, breath, or spirit. In the arid Middle East, the hot desert wind, the sirocco, can scorch a flower in an hour. One blast, and the place that knew it knows it no more. This is the reality of human mortality. We are here for a moment, vibrant and alive, and then poof, we are history. This realization destroys human pride, but it also magnifies God's pity. He sees our brevity, and it evokes his compassion. The fifth segment is the eternal anchor, the covenant love. Psalm 103, verses 17 through 18. But the love of the Lord remains forever with those who fear him. His salvation extends to the children's children, of those who are faithful to his covenant, of those who obey his commandments. Here is the great contrast. Verse 17 begins with the glorious but. Man is dust. Man is grass. Man is wind. But the love of the Lord remains forever. The Hebrew phrase is from everlasting to everlasting is the hesed of Yahweh. Everything about us changes, decays, and dies. But God's covenant love is a solid rock in the river of time. It predates us and it outlasts us. It anchors our fleeting existence to his eternal nature. David adds a generational promise. His salvation extends to the children's children. Because God is eternal, his righteousness can bridge the gap between generations. When a father fears the Lord, that relationship ripples forward in time, blessing grandchildren who are not yet born. This is the legacy we talk about here on Wisdom Trek. Our dust may return to the earth, but the hesed shown to us continues to work in our lineage. However, there is a condition. This is not a blanket promise for everyone, regardless of their heart. It is for 1. Those who fear him, mentioned 3 times in this section, verses 11, 13, 17. This implies reverence, awe, and submission to his kingship. 2. Those who are faithful to his covenant. 3. Those who obey his commandments. This is not legalism, it is loyalty. God's love is free, but it is a covenant love. It requires a relationship. You cannot claim the benefits of the king while fighting for the enemy. The fear of the Lord is the open hand that receives the gift of mercy. In conclusion, the equation of grace. As we pause here at verse 18, consider the equation David has laid out for us. On one side, you have humanity, dust, grass, wind, fragile, sinful. On the other side, you have God, compassionate, slow to anger, infinite in love, high as the heavens, removing sin, east from west, eternal, everlasting to everlasting. When you add these two sides together, you don't get judgment. You get fatherhood. You get a God who bends down to the dust, breathes life into it, and when that dust gets dirty, He washes it clean rather than sweeping it away. This is the God we serve. He knows your frame. He knows you are tired. He knows you are struggling. And He says, I know, I am your Father, and my love for you is taller than the sky. So today, do not be afraid of your weakness. Let your weakness be the very thing that drives you into the strong arms of the Father. If you found this podcast insightful, please subscribe and leave us a review. Then encourage your friends and family to join us and come along tomorrow for another day of Wisdom-Trek Creating a Legacy. Thank you so much for allowing me to be your guide, mentor, and most importantly, I am your friend as I serve you through this Wisdom-Trek podcast and journal. As we take this trek of life together, let us always live abundantly. Love unconditionally. Listen intentionally. Learn continuously. Lend to others generously. Lead with integrity. Leave a living legacy each day. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, reminding you to keep moving forward, enjoy your journey, and create a great day every day. See you next time for more daily wisdom.